Welcome back to GAA Fan TV. My name is Aaron. I'm delighted to be joined here by Matthew Hurley of the GAA Statsman podcast to run through all the weekend's big talking points in this weekend's club action in both football and hurling. Plenty of shocks, plenty of surprises, thrills and spills all along the way, with some big heavy hitters getting knocked out over the weekend. So certainly we'll be breaking that down, discussing that in further detail as well. Just a reminder, we're brought to you by Declan Kirby GAA Star, the best children's GAA book out there in the market at the minute. You can find it on Amazon, Easons, all good bookshops. So make sure to check that out when you get a chance. Well, I suppose before we crack into the games, I did just want to pass on my condolences and thoughts really to everyone that was affected in the absolute tragedy that obviously happened in Crossmaglen, Donegal. I know it's obviously not GAA related, but I think it was important obviously still to bring it up because such a national catastrophe really what's happened there. And I just pass on my thoughts, condolences with everyone connected. Obviously, all Donegal GAA games were cancelled this weekend or postponed until a later day, which in the end I think was the right decision. And yeah, for all families connected, pass on my regards there. I suppose, Matthew, any words on that from yourself, I suppose, before we crack on with some of the GAA action?
Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me on again, Aaron. I watched it on the news yesterday. It was absolutely tragic what happened in Donegal. And even fella being interviewed by Ray Kennedy from RT News, he was saying the events reminded him of the troubles back in the 80s and 90s in Northern Ireland. And once I heard that, I was like, this must have been horrific for people just going down to their normal shop getting there was a girl who died, I think, getting her own lollipop or something like that just for the shop, getting a newspaper, or someone was actually going to an ATM and died. It's absolutely tragic what happened, and obviously my condolences to everyone affected in Donegal. And as you said, it was the right decision. St. Eunan's and Naomh Quinnell was called off in Donegal, and it was definitely the right decision to let the Donegal people mourn the losses. And my heart goes out to everyone in Donegal this weekend. It was absolutely tragic what happened in Crossmaglen.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I suppose, moving on then, I suppose just to run through obviously some GAA action from the weekend. I suppose looking at the Kerry Senior Football Championship first of all, and there were certainly some big results here. So we obviously had a big win for Dingle. They beat Dr. Crokes by a scoreline of 118 to 11 points. He also had a big win, obviously, for East Kerry earlier today. They got the job done by 13 points to 1-7 against Kenmare Shamrocks. He also had a big result for fellow Rangers, who knocked out last year's county champions in Austin Sachs. They won 112 to 12 points. And then there was also a big result in there for Mid Kerry, 13 points to 11 as well. I suppose starting off with the Dingle East Kerry game, I know obviously you watched that in detail and you put some stats up on your own Instagram page, so for people, make sure to check that out when they get a chance. But it was Dingle 118, Dr. Crokes 11 points, huge result, and a certain Mark O'Connor back in the fold. Well, at least for that game anyway. We don't know if he's going to be sticking around for much longer, but back in the side, and he slotted right in from what I heard anyways.
Yeah, he was absolutely excellent. He was controlling the play. He was more of a playmaking role in this game, Aaron, and I thought he was absolutely excellent. But the credit really, I know Mark O'Connor was excellent and all that, but the credit really should go to Tom O'Sullivan, centre-back the night. He scores 5 points. I mean, as shown in my stats, go check it out on Instagram, J__Statsman2, if you haven't already. But Tom O'Sullivan scored 5 points, 1 mark, and Paul Gainey with 5 points for playing. I actually maintain the fact that Paul Gainey is one of the most underrated players in the country. I actually think so. He's an absolutely brilliant player. Dylan Gainey got a goal, and once Dylan Gainey got that goal at the start of the second half, look, it was game over then. But we're pointing out for Dr. Crokes, they were missing 3 inter-county players as such. They were missing Fionn Fitzgerald, Micheál Burns, and Gavin White. So they were 3 big misses for Dr. Crokes. Like Gavin White would be what Crokes would be to Tom O'Sullivan for Dingle. So that would be a huge loss for Crokes. But on the same night, Dr. Crokes and Austin Sachs both went out, and you wouldn't have said that years ago in Kerry. But Dingle there was hype around this team, and I said, oh, I'll go watch this team. I'd watch it on a stream. It was €10 overall, but the quality of football was excellent, but I'm not sure about the quality of the stream. I'm sure everybody saw Kerry Franchise's Instagram page as well, riveted with facts about the stream, and it was terrible, really. There was one camera, there was no commentary for like 45 minutes or something, and just to think you're paying €10 for a stream and you get that. But thank God there was brilliant football on show. Thank God there was Mark O'Connor and Tom O'Sullivan, etc. Excellent performances there, and I think Dingle will really put it up to East Kerry in the semi-final. They're the only club left now, and honestly, for club football in Kerry, I'd actually think that the majority in Kerry, correct me if I'm not wrong, no Kerry fans, but I would think that the fans for the Kingdom would actually rather Dingle win it, because there'll be a club side going into the Munster Championship with a bit of confidence. And honestly, if Dingle go into the Munster Championship, don't write them off for the Munster title. I know the Bars look pretty strong in Cork, but I think Dingle, looking at their performance last night, if they persuade Mark O'Connor to stick around, even without Mark O'Connor, if they have Tom O'Sullivan keep bombing up the field with Paul Gainey and Dylan Gainey in the full forward line, their midfield is pretty good as well. I'm sure there was a guy, Conor Flannery, a cornerback. I was really impressed with him. 2 points from play as well. So they have a very good team, Dingle, and they will be a team to watch, definitely. The stream wasn't great, but the performance from various players in the field was excellent, I thought. And Kerry football's in a very good state indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, just looking at it here, Paul Gainey with 5 points. Tom O'Sullivan, as you said, finishing with 5 points, which is an extraordinary talent, no doubt about it, for a centre-back. You've Dylan Gainey, obviously, with 1-2, Conor Flannery with 2 points, Barry O'Sullivan with 2 points, Matthew Flaherty and Mark O'Connor in there with a point as well. You also had, obviously, East Kerry in the game, of course, on TG Cahir a little bit earlier. Definitely the game wasn't as good. Thankfully enough, the stream was perfectly fine. Obviously, it was on TG Cahir, so I think there'd be a lot of questions asked if there was some issues there. But they did come through in the end, 13 points to 1-7. First half, not really a great game by any stretch of the imagination. I obviously done a match reaction on the game earlier if people want to check that out. But yeah, in the end, look, they got the job done. They got the victory. David Clifford coming up trump again with 7 points. Dara Roach looking very good. And, East Kerry obviously having won the county championship twice in the last 3 years. I mean, they'll certainly be going into those semi-finals now as favourites.
They definitely will, yeah. They have an excellent team, and even I put on my Instagram and Twitter pages and stuff like that, their team for one game in the group stage, and it was almost like an inter-county team. It was absolutely unreal. You look at David Clifford, Paddy Clifford, James O'Donoghue's in that team. I mean, look at that forward line. Like, it's absolutely unreal, brimming with talent, and it's a brilliant showing. But I was hearing Ken Mayer actually put it up to them. I'll be honest, I didn't watch the game, though. I was doing a match report for the Southern Star. Junior A hurling that's still going on in Cork, but I heard Ken Mayer actually put up a good showing against East Kerry, but the weather was always going to be a factor. It was a bad day up and down the country, really. I see in Westmeath it was terrible, in Cork it was absolutely awful, really, the weather conditions. I've seen up in Ulster somewhere as well. I think Derry semi-finals were on today, and there were pretty atrocious weather conditions there, but East Kerry got through. That's all they had to do, really, get through to the semi-final. They're now playing Dingle. That's next week now, correct me if I'm wrong, but that'll be some game, Dingle against East Kerry. Hopefully that'll be shown on TV now. Will that be shown on RT? It could be. I think that'll be an excellent game for RT to get their nails into. But when you look at the talent all over the East Kerry team and the Dingle team, it's absolutely superb. And it was about getting over the line for East Kerry today. They got over the line, but Ken Mayer, they'll have to regroup for next year, I'm afraid. And it's going to be a tough few months for them.
Yeah, and they 10 wides, Ken Mayer Shamrock, 7 in the first half. So they had the chances and they had the opportunities, and even hit the post right at the end just from a long ball floated in. So they nearly in the end rescued extra time. They're doing a lot right, but I do think they'll look back and think, East Kerry were there for the taking, I felt, in the first half, because East Kerry just didn't really get going at all. But yeah, as you were saying there, East Kerry going up against Dingle in the semi-finals, that's certainly going to be an interesting game, and certainly you'd imagine that hopefully RTE or TG Cahir show that one on TV. I mean, who would you be fancying? I know you haven't seen too much of East Kerry, but like Dingle obviously looked very, very good and put up a huge tally, to be fair, against Dr. Crokes. And like Dr. Crokes are a great team. Like it wasn't too long ago they were winning Kerry championships themselves. So I mean, like it's not a foregone conclusion that East Kerry win that. Like I'd give Dingle a fair chance.
I would as well. I think they're an absolutely excellent team all over the field. And when I was looking at the Kerry Championship last year, I was thinking, from a car point of view, no, with the Bars bring with talent, I was looking at Austin Stacks, I was thinking they're not great. I think the Bars would wipe the floor with them. They did in the end in the Munster Championship. But I looked at Dingle last night and I was thinking they could win Munster. They're a pretty damn good side. And you look at the talent all over the field. The main question really is if Mark O'Connor sticks around. I think that guy Davidis Uasis is going to stick around. The guy who came off the bench from Australia, he's a very good player. Used to be a minor goalkeeper, very good player. But they've very good players all over the field when you think about it. As you mentioned, the scorers there, Barry O'Connor, Conor Flannery as well, who don't get near the Kerry team, and they actually perform pretty well. Paul Gainey was very good. Dylan Gainey, excellent. Matthew Flaherty, a corner forward, was linking the play pretty well as well. And of course, you have that diamond at centre back in Tom O'Sullivan. I'd actually fancy Dingle to beat East Kerry. I just think East Kerry aren't performing particularly well from what I'm hearing anyway. And Dingle last night looked to be in full pelt. They looked pretty good last night. And honestly, like Dingle haven't competed in the Munster Championship for years, if not ever, I don't think. So it'd be actually a brilliant story if Dingle went on to win the whole championship. But East Kerry will be a tough game. But I will go and say this anyway. The winners of East Kerry Dingle will probably win the whole championship anyway, because Mid Kerry and Field Rangers, that was a brilliant victory over Austin Sacks last night. Fair play to them, putting North Kerry football on the map there. But yeah, I'd have to say either Dingle or East Kerry will win the championship overall. And I'd be backing Dingle. I think they look a pretty good side at the moment.
Yeah, and as you were saying, like it was fellow Rangers who in the end beat Austin Stacks, and what a huge victory it was for them, obviously beating the reigning Kerry champions. Shane says here East Kerry versus fellow Rangers final in his opinion. Like obviously you've seen some of the Austin Stacks fellow Rangers game towards the end because it went to extra time. Like what were your thoughts on Austin Stacks? Like I presume Kieran Donaghy isn't in the team anymore. He's still in the team.
Yeah.
Jesus. He's still going. I thought maybe he might be off to maybe Monaghan this week or something.
Jeez, he's doing a lot on Twitter now this week from saying WhatsApp rumors are all wrong to then start. Well, he didn't start for Austin Sacks. It was a late change actually. He went off, and he came on late on. And Austin Sacks were trying to put the ball long into him, but it didn't work to no avail. And Fail Rangers. Sorry if I butchered that name. No, I've never heard of your team until last night, really. So sorry about that, Dark Kerry fans. I will get it right in future. But yeah, Fella Rangers performed pretty well. They were excellent. So I thought towards the end they hung on for dear life, and they deserved to win against Austin Sacks. Like I think the majority of Kerry will actually be glad Austin Sacks are gone, because they kind of play a defensive style of football, whereas the likes of Dingle, East Kerry try to play the attacking Kerry way in a way. So, I think people will be glad that Austin Sacks are out of the championship. But fellow Rangers, what a story this is. A North Kerry team, which is synonymous really for playing with the Kerry Hurlers. And now they've in the Kerry football semi-finals. Pretty good achievement for them. And I think it'd be Kerry in the semi-finals next for them. Brilliant opportunity for whoever wins this. It'd be a brilliant win for either team. But yeah, it's a brilliant win already for fellow Rangers. And yeah, it's a brilliant story. Probably one of the stories of the weekend, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Shane says here, Barry Mahoney will be a star. Remember the name. And he also says, Feel Rangers is how it's pronounced there. So, Feel. There we go. So there you are. I suppose you learn something new every day. And yeah, there you go. Certainly be interesting to see how that goes in their semi-finals as well, or in their semi-final going up against Mid Kerry. Just running through some games from the Galway Senior Football Championship at the weekend. So it was Salt Hill knocking the Carrow 111, Tuam Stars 2-7. So Salt Hill are into the semi-finals there. You also had Mountbelly and Moylock, who beat Corofin 15 points to 111. Moycullen also progressed with a 1-point win in there as well. And Annadown also got a victory there over I believe it was St. Michael's. So I suppose the big story there is obviously Mountbelly Moylock getting the victory over Corofin by a scoreline of 15 points to 111. I watched the game on the stream. It was €10, I think it was. And to be fair, it was actually a good stream. I have to give Galway GAA a bit of credit there. There was no issues with it. And look, Mountbelly Moylock probably the favourites. Corofin pushed them close. I know you didn't see much of the game, but Mountbelly Moylock, I mean, they roll on and they're going to be one of the favourites for Galway now, surely.
It's funny, I was actually going to watch the game. I was thinking, will I watch the game or not? But I was thinking €10 for Kerry is enough for me. You have to pay the bills. Electricity's going up, so all the jazz there. So it was a brilliant win for Mountbelly Moylock, and they had a point to prove actually after doing so well in the Galway Championship and then flatly to deceive in the Connacht Championship last season. But Corofin fell like when you say it like that, like they haven't won a Galway Championship in 3 years now. And this is a team everybody was saying was one of the greatest of all time. They're the third most successful club football side in history behind Crossmaglen and Nemo Rangers. So they're a pretty good club, and to lose Galway 3 times in a row, they will not like that at all. But to be fair to them, I think they're missing Kieran Malloy. He's a huge player for them. So that's a big loss for them. And Mountbelly Moylock could go on, and you have to fancy, if they're on separate sides of the draw now, Aaron, I'm not entirely sure, but you'd have to fancy Mike Cullen and Mountbelly to reach the final. If they haven't met in the semi-final, I don't know, are they going to be in the semi-final? But yeah, they'll be probably the two that you'll be looking at and to win the Galway Championship. And Mountbelly will be desperate to win 2 championships in a row because it will assert their dominance. And with Padraig Pearce is gone, Knockmore gone, they'll be the most experienced team left in the Connacht Championship besides Tour de Strand, of course. So yeah, I think Mountbelly Moylock will definitely be a team to watch, maybe for the All-Irelands. Who knows?
Yeah, and it will actually be Mike Cullen versus Mountbelly and Moylock in the semi-finals, and it's Anna Down versus Salt Hill Knocknacarra. I did watch a bit of the Salt Hill Knocknacarra Anna Down game this morning. It was actually a €10 day pass to watch the Mountbelly Moylock game. So I watched a bit of that this morning, seeing Tom O'Callaghan shooting the lights out, Robert Finnerty in there as well. So, I mean, it's obviously great to see, teams like Salt Hill, potentially now on the verge of maybe getting to a Galway final. But as you said, Mike Cullen, Mountbelly, Moylock, like they've been the 2 real sort of core teams at the top of Galway football in the last few years.
Yeah, they have been. Like Mountbelly, I think, won it last year, then Mike Cullen won it the year before. So this is really the clincher, really, to decide who has done better than Corofin in the last few years. Will it be Mountbelly or will it be Mike Cullen? It's going to be a huge game, this one. A lot of people are saying Mountbelly Moylock are going to reach the All-Ireland final. I don't know, did Seamus say that in your podcast last week or somebody else? But a lot of people are actually saying Mountbelly Moylock to reach the final of the All-Ireland series, to reach to play Kilmacud Crokes. But I don't know about that yet. Maybe Munster will have something to say. Maybe Ulster, because they're a pretty good province. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they progress. But you would have to fancy them to win Connacht anyway, considering only Tour de Strand really from Sligo are more experienced. Like they were in it last year. Like Ballinamore, Sean O'Hesans are now gone out of Leitrim. Not more gone from Mayo. Padraig Pearce has gone from Roscommon. And also the champions from London, St. Kieran's, are also gone as well. So only Tour de Strand and Mountbelly are left. So, it's a real opportunity for Mountbelly Moylock to grab it with both hands. But Mike Cullen, they'll be desperate to have a Connacht Championship, really, because the previous year, obviously, because of COVID, for obvious reasons, they couldn't compete in the All-Ireland series. They'll be desperate to do so this time. So this semi-final, I don't know when it is. It could be 2 weeks' time, maybe, Aaron. Correct me if I'm wrong, no, but it'll be an absolute belter of a game, and maybe it could be shown on TG4 again. Like at this, there's loads of games up and down the country that you think are going to be shown on TG4 and RT, but obviously they can't be showing them all because a lot of people will be complaining otherwise. Like if Galway doesn't get shown and Kerry gets shown instead of it, a lot of Galway fans will complain. Vice versa, it'll be Kerry fans complaining. So you can't really please everybody that way. But regardless, it should be a very good game, no doubt.
Yeah, well, I suppose like the good thing is like the games are there somewhere. At least it isn't like during the championship where a lot of the games you couldn't even pay for the games. Like at least if you pay a tenner, obviously it's not ideal. You don't be throwing money out left, right, and centre. But for the odd game, for the sake of a fiver or a tenner, like at least it's something there. I don't exactly agree with it, but at least it's there, and at least it's an option. But yeah, there's a lot of cracking games really coming up that hopefully our team might start showing more double headers, maybe like they did last year on Saturdays, and then obviously Sundays you sort of have the TG Cahir double header as well. So hopefully we can definitely start to see a lot more of that. Moving on to the Tyrone Senior Football Championship. So it was Clonau 1-9, Dunamore 10 points, Carrickmore 10 points, Loch McCrory 9 points. It was Dromore 6 points, Omagh 5 points, and Errigal Kieran 116, Dungannon 111. Did watch the Errigal Kieran Dungannon game. Rory Canavan, I think he's going to be a special talent, like everyone's already said already. He scored 1-3 and he was outrageous in the first half. Like he hit 1-1, I think, in the opening 5 or 6 minutes. Really dictated the play. Dara Canavan was equally brilliant as well. And look, Errigal Kieran will play Dromore in the semi-finals. Dromore, obviously, the reigning champions. And I think the scoreline of that game versus Omagh probably tells you all you need to know about that. I think the conditions probably played a huge part there. But yeah, Errigal Kieran versus Dromore in the semi-finals. I mean, that will be a cracking game to keep an eye on or watch. And who knows, maybe that one might make it on TV.
It could do, yeah. And even I'm looking at the Tyrone Championship right now, editing as you explained the semi-finals now. And yeah, whoever reaches the final between Clonau and Carrickmore, I think it is, like whoever reaches that final, it's going to be an unreal opportunity for them two clubs. But Dromore and Errigal Kieran is the game that everybody will be looking at. And even look at Errigal Kieran's team, even think about the names, Rory Canavan, Dara Canavan, and even the experience headed Peter Hart there as well, if he played today, Aaron, if correct me if I'm wrong now. But they have excellent players, Errigal Kieran, all over the field. But the problem with them over the last few years is they kind of flattered to deceive in the latter stages. They did with Dungannon, I think, in 2020, when Dungannon seemed to have lost the game, and then Errigal Kieran somehow lose it. But today they had that winning streak about them. But Dromore will be a different challenge for them. They're the champions from last year. And Tyrone, will they keep the streak going? Will they say an 11th champion over the last 11 championships? If that was to happen, that must be some sort of record, Aaron, because that's unbelievable, really. It shows the competitiveness of the championship itself in Tyrone. But it should be a very good game. But it'll be interesting to see how the Tyrone champions, whoever it may be, do well in the Ulster Championship, because none of them have actually won an Ulster Championship in history. So that'd be a big talking point there. So it should be very interesting to see how they perform, really. Whoever wins the Tyrone Championship in the Ulster Championship, I'm not sure of the draw. I actually was going to look at the draw during the week at the Ulster Championship, trying to do a bit of a bracket for my page. But there doesn't seem to be a fixture list at the moment. Hopefully that'll come up in the next few days. But because the Ulster Championship is very good this year, like you look at the teams in there, I think Watty Graham's Glen are pretty close there. Gowna from Cavan, St. Eunan's from Donegal, Kilcoo are there, Scottstown from Monaghan. So it will be a very, very tough championship, this championship in Ulster. So it'd be interesting to see how the Tyrone champions, whoever it is out of the four, doing it. But Dromore and Errigal Kieran will be a game definitely to watch. Another game.
Yeah, and Crossmaglen Rangers as well, who we might get onto a little bit later as well. I mean, they put out an absolute beating of Mahary on Friday night. Huge result for them. But yeah, just looking at it here, Carrickmore haven't won a county title since 2005. Errigal Kieran haven't won one since 2012. And Clonau haven't won one since 2013. Dromore obviously haven't won it last year. So I suppose for that streak to continue, it would have to be either Errigal Kieran or Carrickmore to win the county title. Who knows? They'll probably end up playing each other in the final as well, knowing how the Tyrone Senior Football Championship has gone in the last couple of years. Jack says weekend for underdogs mostly. It certainly was. There was some big shocks, make no mistake about that. And as we were saying, Crossmaglen in the Armagh Senior Football Championship, they beat Mahary 3-15 to 1-6 on Friday night. Grainmore beat Calavey 2-9 to 8 points. So Grainmore in their first ever Armagh Senior Football Championship final. So congratulations to them. And just the small task of Crossmaglen Rangers in the final, who have Rian O'Neill, Jamie Clark, and Keane McConville all ticking. So best of luck to Grainmore in that one.
Yeah, you need it, lads. You definitely need it. I'd say you need to, a few training sessions to deal with the McConvilles, especially their excellent young players. I seen one of their goals in TG Carr last few weeks, and it was superb. But Crossmaglen, they've lost in the last few years to Mahary and Clonairon, so this will be another challenge. Can they get over the line despite being huge favourites? Despite being huge favourites, they failed over the last 2 years, and they'll be desperate to get over the line this one. If they get over the line, I think they'd nearly be favourites for Ulster, because Kilcoo aren't really ticking. Scottstown haven't really performed particularly well over the last few games in Monaghan. You look at Tyrone; they don't particularly do well in the Ulster Club Championship. Donegal the same, Cavan the same. So you'd have to back Crossmaglen to win it if they do come out of Armagh, if they do live up to the favourites tag. But it should be interesting to see how they approach Grainmore. Like Grainmore, if they win this, that'll be an unbelievable story, really, for Crossmaglen Rangers to lose the last 3 years, despite being raging hot favourites in Armagh, to little sides like Mahary, Clonairon, and now Grainmore. That'll be unbelievable in many ways. And it might question Crossmaglen, their tactical lows in big games. That might come of a question if they somehow lose to Grainmore. But you'd have to fancy Crossmaglen to win this. Surely there will be a title coming to Crossmaglen, and if they do win it, I think they'll be favourites for Ulster. They look a very good side at the moment. They're all ticking, as you said, and they have the history to back up as well. 6 All-Ireland titles, so yeah, the history is behind them, the performance levels is behind them, so why not? Crossmaglen could even win Ulster if they get past this Grainmore challenge.
Yeah, it's a weird one with Crossmaglen, because anytime they seem to be doubted or maybe wrote off a little bit, and no one really wrote them off going in against Mahary, but I think some people were really feeling that, Mahary beat them 2 years ago. There might be a potential shock here. And then they just absolutely blew them away. Like, I was keeping an eye on the score on Twitter, and I think, they were 10 points up after about 10 or 15 minutes or something like that, which was just absolutely mental. But on the flip side of that, with Crossmaglen, when they have gone in as big favourites, a lot of the time they've slipped up. Like Clonairon, who they faced in the final last year, hadn't won a county title in, I think, 60 or 70 years. And Mahary, who they faced, I think, in the semi-finals the year previous, and who beat them. Mahary hadn't won a county title in something like 20-odd years as well. So, Crossmaglen have unfortunately been on the wrong end of the stick in the last few years, shall we say.
Yeah, they have, and they'll be desperate to turn their fortunes around as well, because 6 All-Ireland titles and losing the last 2 Armagh titles, that won't go down well in Crossmaglen, really, and they'll be desperate even to win Ulster this year. Like, when you look at some of the teams in Ulster, I think the sides of Derry actually looking Shlotneel, I think, are playing or is that game over against Lavi? I'm actually not sure, but Shlotneel or Wattygrange Lane will be very tough coming out of Derry. Kilcoo aren't the same team in Down. So, Crossmaglen will fancy their chance in Ulster to potentially win it, and they'll be coming up against the Connacht champions, then Mobelly Mylock, possibly from Galway, who aren't really experienced at this sort of level. So maybe Crossmaglen could be thinking towards Croke Park here. I genuinely think so. They're a pretty good side. They have the history to back them. I do think they're a pretty good side. They just have flattered to deceive over the last few seasons. And a lot of people, I was getting a few DMs from Armagh fans over the last few weeks, and they were saying Mahary are the team to beat Crossmaglen. And then when I looked at the score and Scorpio, I was thinking, whoa, Crossmaglen are actually serious here. So they proved the doubters wrong a small bit now. And now they're going to the final as raging hot favourites over a Grainmore team that really haven't got to finals in Armagh over the last few seasons. So, yeah, it's going to be a different type of challenge for Crossmaglen, but they should get over this challenge. If they don't, there'll be serious questions asked, as I said previously, with this Crossmaglen side.
Yeah, 100%. Make no mistake about that one. Moving on to the Roscommon Senior Football Championship, and Gavin said here in the Hyde semis today, Strokestown beat Ross Gales, who would have been favourites since they beat Pierce's. Boyle bet Bridget's after Boyle's last Roscommon title was in 1927. Strokestown last title was in 2002. Nice to see a new team win. Yeah, it just sounds to be all sorts of chaos really in the Roscommon Senior Football Championship. It was Strokestown 2-8, Roscommon Gaels 11 points, Boyle 112, St. Bridget's 12 points. Obviously, neither of us seen the game or know any real facts in the game, but I suppose it shows how competitive the Roscommon Senior Football Championship is. And, you know, like Padraig Pearse's would have been the team that a lot of people would have expected to come out of Roscommon, having won Connacht last year. They get beaten by Roscommon Gaels, and Roscommon Gaels now get beat by Strokestown. So, I mean, a real changing of the guard, it seems, there in Roscommon.
It does, yeah. And even them semi-finals, like Roscommon Gaels, after beating Padraig Pearse, would have gone in as big favourites. Bridget, after winning the All-Ireland in 2013, would have gone in as big favourites, and both of them lose on the same day. That's incredible, really, from the Roscommon Championship. And yeah, I know a few people from Boyle, actually. It's a nice town, apparently. So, yeah, hopefully they go on and win it, because I just know people from there in my course, journalism at UL. So, yeah, Strokestown, it'll be a pretty good story if they win it as well. So maybe whoever wins it, it'll be absolute scenes, really, in Roscommon. It'll be an unbelievable achievement for either of them to win it. Will they go on and win Connacht, though? I'm actually not sure, really, because they haven't competed in a provincial championship, really. I don't think Boyle have ever, because it wasn't around in 1925, was it? The Connacht Championship, even I can't even think.
No, I don't think it was, no.
So it'll be an unbelievable opportunity if they did progress to that. But yes, Strokestown haven't won it since 2002, so a novel winner. That'll be unbelievable, really, from Roscommon. And I'd say, will that be another game to be shown on TG4, or will it be just shown on a Roscommon streaming service with payments of €10 to €15? We don't know. But yeah, it'll be it will be an excellent final. It'll be a novel champion. And yeah, I'm all for it. It will be brilliant for either side to win it. Will they go on and do well in the All-Ireland or provincial series? Probably not. But for them sides to win it straight up would be a brilliant achievement for either side. And yeah, nobody saw this coming. Not even me. Like, even looking outside from Cork or yourself, Aaron, looking outside from Dublin, would have seen this semi-final unfold in Roscommon this way. So it's a brilliant day for the underdog, really. And we'll go on to Westmeath in the middle as well, and Longford and all them counties. So the day of the underdog is well and truly alive today.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, plenty of shocks. I suppose one county championship or senior championship where there really wasn't any shocks was the Derry Senior Football Championship. So Slotneil beat Levy. That game did just finish just about, I think, 10 minutes ago, give or take. It was Slotneil 2-18, Levy 2-4. So very comprehensive win there. And then it was Glen O'Leary 4 points, Watty Graham's Glen 2-12. So, I mean, Slotneil versus Watty Graham's Glen. Now, that's a game I'm going to try my best to watch regardless of where it's on, because you've got, you know, Shane McGuigan, Chrissy McCaig on one team. You've got, you know, Conor Glass on the other side, and the talent that Watty Graham's Glen have. I mean, cracking game, hopefully, from a neutral perspective. And, you know, the two dominant sides in Derry by quite a distance from what I can see. Like, when you look at some of the scorelines, the Slotneil and Watty Graham's Glen have put up over the past couple of weeks, you know, like them two playing each other in a county final, like, I'm all for that.
Absolutely, yeah. And even look at the match progress of Derry over the summer months. Even look at the players on there from Watty Graham's Glen or Slotneil. Like the thing is, I was actually surprised at Slotneil losing heavily to Watty Graham's Glen last year. But having a look at Watty Graham's Glen team, Conor Glass and Emmett Bradley midfield, that's arguably one of the best midfield pairings in the country. That's outstanding. Slotneil, obviously Chrissy McCaig, excellent player, was on my podcast, by the way, as well. Shane McGuigan and Chrissy McCaig, arguably the best attacker and defender respectively in the country at the moment. So, like, you can't get much better than that in Derry. Like, Shane McGuigan, Conor Glass, Chrissy McCaig, Brendan Rodgers, let's not forget as well, Emmett Bradley. Wow, like, you know, I'm definitely be up for this game. It'll probably be shown on RT or TG4, definitely. But even if it's not, I'd be all for it, Aaron. Definitely, I'd be with you there. I'd be demanding to buy that. I don't care what it costs. I'm definitely going to buy this game because it's an unbelievable pairing. And honestly, it'll probably be either of them two teams or Crossmaglen to win the provincial championship. Like, Glen will be pretty disappointed in how they performed or how the game ended against Kilcoo last year. Slotneil, let's not forget, we're going for a double in Derry. So, yeah, that'd be a double All-Ireland. Could Slotneil win the double in the All-Ireland? I don't know. Like a lot of people are saying they might do. They've been close in previous years. I think they got close to Ballygunner and the Hurling last year. They've got close to Nebo Rangers and Dr. Crokes the last few years in football as well. So if Shlot Neil win the double, that'll be an unreal achievement, especially in a county like Derry, where their hurlers aren't in the Lee McCarthy Cup. So if they win the double in the All-Ireland series, that'd be unbelievable. But if they win the double in Ulster, that'll be a good achievement too. That'll be a pretty good achievement for them. But Watty Graham's Glen, of course, will be dying to win this game, dying to win a secondary championship in a row. So yeah, I'd definitely be demanding to get this game streamed or something like that, because it serves up to be a cracker, definitely.
Yeah, like I mean, yeah, like what you said with Slot Neil, like they've pushed Ballygunner, they've pushed Ballyhale Shamrocks in the last couple of years as well. Like, so I mean, who knows with them? Obviously, they didn't get out of Ulster last year, so we'll obviously have to wait and see in regards to that. But serious team, and going up against Watty Graham's Glen, I think that's a game definitely for all the neutrals to watch. Some surprises in the Fermanagh Senior Football Championship as well. It was Gales, Bilic 1-7, Kinally 1-6. Derry Gonley Harps, who have been the real dominant force in Fermanagh the last couple of years, having won, I think, 6 out of the last 7 county titles there. They were beaten by Enniskillen 115 to 211. Just looking at it there, Bilic haven't won a county title since 2005, I think it is. Bilic haven't won a county title since 1981, and Enniskillen haven't won a county title since 2006. So, I mean, Derry Gonley Harps gone. I mean, that's a big surprise considering they were in the Ulster final last year.
Yeah, it's a massive surprise, especially the way they performed against Clonera last year, and even getting the Ulster final to play Kilcoo. I know they were disappointed in how they performed, but yeah, you would have expected Derry Gonley to go on and win that game, but they didn't, and Enniskillen Gays march on to the final. And I've actually been shopping in I know how to pronounce this, Aaron. I know this for a fact now. It's Bilic. That's how you pronounce their name. And yeah, I've actually I bought I don't know, did I buy a glass jar there at Bilic once? I don't know. I've been to Northern Ireland once, and there was a town in Fermanagh that we actually went to. So to be honest, I'd rather Bilic win it, because it's a place that we know really. I've been there before, but Enniskillen to win it, like, it's a big town, Enniskillen. So for them to go and win it would be a brilliant achievement as well. So yeah, but honestly, because I've been there, I'd rather Bilic win it, and it'd be a brilliant achievement if they do. 1981, that's a long time for them to go without a Fermanagh championship. So yeah, I'm all for it. Bilic for the win.
Yeah, there you go. I think maybe the only reason why they're in a county final is because you bought a glass jar there. Maybe that's the key to it. Like, maybe you just gave them the magic touch, and here they are now in a county final.
Exactly, yeah. Or I'm not sure. Was it a glass jar or was it a bit of pottery? It was Bilic Pottery. Bilic Pottery was the name of the place.
There we go.
Yeah, it was pot. Why do I get confused between pottery and glass? Like, Jesus. But that's it. That's me and homing skills, not there quite yet. But yeah, I hope Bilic win it. Yeah, maybe I provided them with the look they needed. Maybe I just brought a bit of pottery there, and they're going to win the Fermanagh Championship. Who knows? But if they do go on and run the All-Ireland, I'll just remind the players of the management, I bought pottery in your place there. So maybe you have to thank me there. A bit of luck on your side.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe the pottery place can run a sponsorship or something on your podcast or something, or something of that nature. That'd be a bit of a story. The Westmeath Senior Football Championship, there was some shocks there as well. So St. Lomans, who we've bigged up quite a lot, obviously in the last couple of videos and whatnot. Like, when you look at the team of players that they have, but they were beaten by the Downs. Big upset story there. So it was 1-8 to 7 points. First championship since 2007. St. Lomans gone. I mean, that was definitely one we didn't see coming.
It definitely wasn't, no. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, no, but the Downs, I think, have Luke Loughlin in their forward line. If they do, that's an incredible story for him, particularly because I think he had some gambling problem early on the year. He got over that. He then wins the Tailteann Cup, and now he wins the Westmeath Championship. What a story for him. And he's a pretty good guy as well. I was hearing he's a very good player, but he's a very good person in general as well. I'm delighted for him. Delighted for him and delighted for the Downs team. I seen a Loaf of Bread GAA podcast. Check them out if you haven't already as well. And the seeds there were absolutely incredible for the Downs to win it. And I was thinking back to Don Logue's comments as well. And so the game saying the game of hurling needs oxygen and disregarded the club championship. Don Logue should just watch that scene from Cusack Park today. It was absolutely incredible. You know, the Downs, just unbridled joy running onto the pitch. And that's what it's all about. That's what the club championship's all about. St. Lomans, I actually backed them to nearly win Leinster last year with the likes of John Haslin and all that. And we were thinking they could even win Leinster this year. But the Downs, they proved everyone wrong. What a win for them. Brilliant victory for the Downs. And brilliant for Luke Loughlin personally as well. What a story that guy's been through in 2022. He's probably had one of the best years out of any GAA player after the years he's had in the past few seasons.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was a battle with alcohol. I think was his issue there. It might have been gambling as well. I mean, to be fair, the two kind of sadly usually go hand in hand. But yeah, like, I mean, huge story for him, like winning the Tailteann Cup and now winning a county title as well. Like, I mean, talk about, you know, a complete 180 in terms of your actual life and then the results that have been shown on the pitch as well. So yeah, absolutely delighted for him and be interesting to see. I'm not too sure who the Downs will be playing in the Leinster Club Football Championship. You know, who their next game is up next. Obviously, there hasn't been, you know, it's very hard to kind of find the draws and everything else. But nonetheless, I think it's going to be very interesting sort of seeing them go in there. In the Laois Senior Football Championship, it was Port Arlington 213, O'Dempsey's 8 points. So Port Arlington winning back-to-back county titles in Laois. And then in the Antrim Senior Football Championship, it was 118. It was Cargan 118, St. Mary's 3-9. So a big result for Cargan. And then in the Wicklow Senior Football Championship, St. Patrick's 110. Bolton Glass 1-8. So I think I've seen there that St. Patrick's first county title since 2019, actually. So maybe not that big of a feat there, but nonetheless, I mean, still some big wins. I don't know if you've seen any of the Laois Senior Football Championship final on TG Caher earlier.
I didn't really know. I was at that game, and then I went home, just had my dinner, and watched Ireland with his family. So sorry, Laois fans, I didn't watch your county title, but Port Arlington, it was expected really that they'd win this game, and I seen Port Arlington against Kimbercote. I was very impressed last year with them. I'm not sure they still have Jake Foster in the team. I'm really impressed with that forward in the team. I think he's from Kerry. I'm not entirely sure now, but they have a pretty good side all over the field, Port Arlington, and they'll be focusing on a Leinster title this year. That was one of the few matches where there wasn't a surprise today. Port Arlington won the game. They beat Portlaoise in the semi-final, who have done well in the Laois Championship over the last few seasons. But great that the Laois Football Championship got it's coverage after what happened in Donegal, sadly, with the people up the north there. But it was brilliant that Laois got the recognition they deserve. Brilliant that the final was shown, and it was a brilliant victory for Port Arlington winning that, and a few other stories as well. In Loud, I think it was a draw between RD St. Mary's and Newtown Blues. A bit of a story with RD. My club Cork played RD St. Mary's in the under-14 Féile in 2014. So a lot of them players would have got up through the ranks to play with RD. So I'm actually hoping they get through and then go on a run in Leinster particularly as well. So yeah, it's a brilliant story for them. They have a lot of young players coming through. Longford, of course, with Mullinochta losing. Wicklow as well. St. Patrick. I would have expected Baltic Glass to win that, but fair play to St. Patrick's for winning that championship as well. But another one in Kildare as well. Naas won in Kildare. They beat Clane in the final. So that was a pretty good win there for them as well. So the Leinster Championship is actually taking pretty good shape at the moment. Like, there's champions in Carlow, Kildare, Laois, Longford, Offaly, Westmeath and Wicklow, and then Louth is going to a replay. Dublin, Meath and Wexford are the only counties that still play, and they're going to a final. So a lot of Leinster teams are actually getting done. So maybe in the next few days, hopefully for our sakes, Aaron, the Leinster draw will be made, because there's some pretty good teams there to keep an eye out on.
Yeah, and I'm not exactly sure if the draw was already made or what's going on. Like, I know, like, there's, if you were to search the All Ireland Club Hurling Championship. Like, there's a Wikipedia page up there, and it has it all laid out perfectly. I don't know if that's just someone just made that, or what's it, or if that's official. I really don't know. Like, but it would be nice, all right, just to kind of get a bit of clarity maybe on that, just to kind of know who's possibly playing who, because there's some potential very, very interesting games in there. Are Nave Martin gone in Loud by any chance, or was that was the county final, was it, in Loud? So that was a bit of a shock as well. I didn't even know they were knocked out, so I must have missed that one.
Yeah, like it was a pretty good big shock there. But I see the Loud final was on today. RDC Mares and Newtown Blues. That was a draw, 1-12 apiece on the Scorpio app as well. So yeah, it's Scorpio app is very good for the club championship. This I've looked at it and looked at all the scores here, other than Cork, of course, where I know exactly what's going on. Maybe Kerry as well, but all the other championships I've been looking at Twitter, trying to keep tabs on it as much as I can. And yeah, it's been absolutely brilliant so far. But that was the final in Loud. It's gone to a replay. No, I'm not sure is actually that going to be next week or is it going to be the week after. But yeah, it's going to be a big game. RDC Mares and Newtown Blues. I don't know. I think the Jackson brothers play for RDC Mares. So pretty good players there in that. So yeah, that should be a good final to keep an eye out on. And Nave Martin, that was a bit of a shock with them going out, because we were thinking with Jim McGuinness being there the last few years, Sam Roy, obviously, we were thinking they could bring a dynasty in Loud, but clearly not. They've been knocked out early, and they're the two finalists there.
Interesting stuff, yeah. Moving on to some of the hurling action then. I suppose the Dublin games are obviously quite big at the weekend. Obviously, Kilmacud Crokes against Ballybowden St Enda's was on RTE on Saturday. It was Kilmacud Crokes 121, Ballybowden St Enda's 15 points. And then in the other game, Coola 17 points, Nafina 218. I suppose we were chatting off air there about the craziness in the Dublin Championship, because I'm not too sure if it has ever happened before where you've got the exact same clubs playing against each other in both codes. So Kilmacud Crokes against Nafina in football and in hurling as well. Very unusual situation that really doesn't happen too often. And you think back to last year, Kilmacud Crokes beat Nafina with obviously a dramatic late equaliser and then won comfortably in extra time. Kilmacud Crokes obviously the reigning football champions as well. So I mean, there's going to be a fair ding-dong battle between Kilmacud Crokes and Nafina, two huge clubs. I know there's plenty of dual players in the Nafina side. Conor McHugh, for example, who's a forward with the Footballers, actually plays a fullback with the Hurlers. So bit of a change there. But yeah, I mean, that's going to be an absolute spectacle now in the next couple of weeks, and a lot to be excited for if you're a Kilmacud Crokes or Nafina fan.
It is, yeah, and I don't think has it ever happened in any other county other than Dublin. It's been absolutely incredible the way it's transpired. But yeah, Nafina, like as far as I know, Nafina actually have dual players all over the field really, and Kilmacud only have one or two dual players, so that might suit Kilmacud more, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's brilliant for Nafina to get over the line to get to a final, but it's an unreal statistic, actually, that both of them are in the both quarter finals, the exact same two. It's incredible, really, when you think about it. And honestly, after the Nafina losing it right at the date last year, I was watching that game in the hurling. I honestly hope Nafina win it because they deserve to win it in the hurling last year. The football, they've only come into it. Well, I think it was Jews last year against Kilmacud in the final, so they were to the final. So maybe. Well, you would probably want the Nafina to win because Kilmacud are a big All-Ireland favourite going down the home stretch. So that'll be a big All-Ireland contender out of the championship in Nafina trying to win that game. But geez, that's incredible, really, from Dublin. And I didn't watch the game though. I was watching the Dingle and Dr. Crokes game, but I was hearing it was a pretty good game between Ballybowden and Kilmacud on Saturday night. So yeah, the Dublin Championship, it was exciting, but yeah, I think who was it? Kilmacud, I think they got beaten by Clot Balacullen in the Leinster Championship last season. So that'll be a big chance for the Dublin champions to go on a Leinster run this season and not to get beaten by the Laois champions. But yeah, it's an unreal statistic, really. I don't think it's ever happened. Let us know down in the comments if it's happened in any other county. I don't think it's ever happened in Cork, really. Has it happened in Galway? Probably not. Tip, I don't know, but But geez, if it's the first time that's ever happened, that's going to be absolutely a historic 2 finals, really. And if one side wins one, if one side wins the 2 of them, that'd be even more incredible, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if you went to both teams and you said, you can make a deal, you'll win one each. I wonder, obviously life doesn't work that way, but I wonder what which team would pick which. Like I'm sure Kilmacud Crokes would want to win back that All Ireland, but at the same time they'll obviously want to right the wrongs of what happened against Clough-Ballacolla last year as well. So yeah, I'll certainly be cheering for Na Fianna anyways. Obviously, as a north side club, not too far from myself. A club that's only probably 25, 30-minute walk, to be fair. So I'll certainly be cheering for them anyway in both games. Conor McHugh has been sensational for the footballers and very good defensively as well, to be fair. And obviously keeping out Coola. So it's definitely going to be interesting to keep an eye on that. Just looking at some other results in the Clare Senior Hurling Championship, Ballyea won the county title there, 24 points to 117 versus Cratloe. And then in the Limerick Senior Hurling Championship, Doon beat Killademo, Palace Kenry, 120 to 19 points. And South Liberties beat Patrickswell, 113 to 14 points. So they're both into the semi-finals. And then in Kilkenny, it was Shamrocks Ballyhale, 124, Tyrone 120, and in the Tipperary semi-finals, Kilrowan McDonough's 217, Upperchurch 114, and Drummond Inch 117, Killadangan 121. So I guess that rules Upperchurch out of the double race in Tipperary, anyways. And Killadangan, who we seen win a county title a couple of years ago in dramatic fashion, back into another county final. I'd imagine they're the favourites, but don't quote me on that because I haven't watched too much here in Tipperary.
Haven't watched too much either, but that was a brilliant victory for Killadangan and Kilrowan McDonough. It's really a novel pairing. Like I would have thought Drummond Inch and Upperchurch would have reached the final, especially Upperchurch. Like a lot of positivity around there going for the double. But I see the Clare as well. There was another result. Aero Guinness beating 6 Mile Bridge 223 to 217. So they'll play Ballyea in the final. So that's a pretty good win over 6 Mile Bridge for them. And the double dream's still on for them as well, Aero Guinness. So watch out for them in the next few weeks. But in the Limerick Championship, Patrickswell, that's unbelievable. How have they not won it? Seriously. Yeah. Like you look at Dermot Burns, Aaron Gallan, Cian Lynch, and they still haven't won the Limerick Championship in the last few seasons. I mean, it's incredible, And maybe that's a lesson to Kilmacud fans a small bit as well. I know Shane Walsh and Paul Mannion is there, but when you look at other counties, when you look at the Limerick Championship, Limerick have basically the best 3 players at each position, literally. Cian Lynch probably the best sort of midfielder in the country. Dermot Burns probably the best defender, and Aaron Gallan the best attacker, and they still can't win the Limerick Championship. So, that just shows you how unpredictable the Limerick Championship is. And I think Cork's own Anthony Nash is actually on the South Liberties team. Don't correct me if I'm wrong, no, but I think he actually is on that side. I think he's cousins with Barry Nash on the team as well. So, bit of a relation there. But, South Liberties, they look pretty good. Doon look pretty good. Kilmallock obviously got a humbling off Ballygunner in the Munster final last year. They'll be desperate to try and win it. And the Piershig, like the Piershig are another team that have to be watched in the Munster Championship. They look a very, very good side. Even in 2020, I was thinking, wow, they're a pretty good side. It was kind of shocking. They lost the Limerick final last year. So, yeah, the Munster Championship is taking shape, really. It's Ballyea against Aero Guinness and Clare. The Bars against Blackrock next Sunday in Cork, obviously. In Limerick, they're in the semi-finals, as you mentioned there. Kilruan and Killadangan, obviously Ballygunner. So, some very good sides left in the Munster Championship, but you'd have to fancy maybe, I would say, probably Ballygunner, the Piershig, the Bars maybe, because they've very good strength all over the field. Probably Ballyea as well in Clare. They've Tony Kelly in the team. They've a pretty good side all over the field. So you'd have to fancy those sides to make a run at it. I'm not sure will Kilruan or Killadangan do so a tip. Mainly down to the fact that they haven't won a tip championship in the last, I think it was Killadangan. Who was it? Kilruan or Killadangan who won in 2020? I get confused between them clubs. But
I think it was Killadangan. I think they beat Lockmore, Castleiney with the last puck of the ball.
Jesus. Yeah, I always get confused between them clubs now, but yeah, they didn't go to a Munster series, so it's going to be interesting to see how they progress in the Munster Championship. Whoever wins there, but you'd have to fancy maybe Ballygunner or the Piercing to win the Munster Championship out. The Bars might make a run at it. Bally ain't there, but for Tip, I think the Tip champions, whoever it is, will find it very hard in the Munster Championship, down to the fact really that they haven't competed in a Munster Championship before.
Yeah, without a shadow of doubt. I mean, the Munster Championship. There's so many good teams in there. And apologies. Yeah, I thought I seen that Ballyea won the Clare Championship, but it has been a long Sunday evening. So maybe I must have misread that. But yeah, Aero Guinness obviously playing them in the final there. So yeah, that'll be interesting. As you said with Patrick's, well, like I think there's plenty of examples up and down the country, like we talk about all the time, of clubs with a spine of inter-county players, but it just for whatever reason doesn't work in the county championship. And whether that's because lads have just been worn out all year from playing with the inter-county side, I'm not exactly sure. But I did see Keane Lynch. I think he might be injured still at the moment. I think because I think I seen on his Instagram he was in New York or somewhere anyway. He was traveling anyway, so I'm pretty sure he wasn't playing in this game. Jack has an interesting comment here. He says, "Pick your All-Ireland winners, hurling and football." Now, I mean that's a very tough one. I'll let you go first.
Yeah. Jesus. Flipping hell, like it's Kieran McCarthy putting me under the bus of the Southern Star. Yourself on GAA Fan TV. For flip's sake, I always get the first pick. But anyway, in hurling, I said James Stephens on Seamus's podcast, Play on GAA. Will I stick with them? I'm gonna go for it because I'm just gonna go for it. I'm just gonna go for it because Brian Cody, it'd be a fairy tale ending for him in Kilkenny if he went on and won the club championship, beating Ballyhale along the way and Ballygunner. That would be an unreal achievement. That it was cemented Brian Cody as one of the greatest coaches of all time. I'd love to see it happen for James Stephens. This is why I'm going to say it. James Stephens are going to win the All-Ireland in hurling. In football, geez, this is an incredibly tough one because even looking at the clubs now, I've simplified it down to Samson notes, and I'm still struggling for a winner here. In Connacht, I'd probably go Bounbelly, my lock. In Ulster, Crossmaglen probably. In Leinster, I'd have to say Kilmacud, don't I, with the talent they have. Munster, I'm thinking either Dingle or St. Finbarrs. I'm going to stick with Cork. I'm going to go St. Finbarrs to win it because I'd be kind of hoping Kerry beat Dingle now in the Kerry semi-final to just save St. Finbarrs somewhat, but Jane will be probably St. Finbarrs against Kilmacud. I'm going to go for St. Finbarrs are going to beat Kilmacud. I think they have the better all-round team overall. I just think with Sherlock scoring 1-6 from play last week, Brian Hayes was excellent. Jamie Burns, Alan O'Connor at wing back. Obviously, Ian Maguire, Owen Commons there as well. Ben O'Connor has now got selected for an Irish under-19 rugby squad, so they have an excellent side all over the field. Then Mobellu against Crossmaglen. I'd say in Crossmaglen, I just think they have the history there. Crossmaglen against the Bars. The Bars, I'm saying it. St. Finbarrs are going to win the football and James Stephens for the hurling. I know it's a risky prediction, but I'm going to go with them too. And over to you, Aaron.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely two bold predictions. All right, I think the James Stephens one is very bold. Like I suppose you love the romanticism of hurling and football, but I don't know. I'd actually in hurling I'd go with Ballyhale Shamrocks or Shamrocks Ballyhale, whichever they prefer to be called. Like I think they'll right the wrongs of last year. Like they were minutes away from winning that final against Ballygunner, and I think they're just with TJ Reid, Owen Cody. I just think they're going to be too good, unfortunately. I don't really know who. I think Ballygunner will be their closest challengers. I know Slot Neal have done very well over the last couple of years, and obviously the Antrim champions last year looked very good as well. But I can't see them doing anything. You've obviously got I think St. Thomas is over in Galway who tend to come through there. The only problem is with them is they sort of come into the semi-finals flat-footed because they don't obviously have a provincial championship to come through. So yeah, I'd probably lean towards Ballyhale, to be honest, to right the wrongs. But Ballygunner are a serious team as well, so it's very, very hard. And then in football, yeah, I mean, Kilmacud Crokes look too, like, I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to see Nafina beat them in the Dublin final and go on and win it. You don't have Paul Mannion there now, potentially until early January, so he's going to be a big miss for Kilmacud Crokes. But I would edge towards them. I went with them earlier in the year, and I don't think I'm going to deviate away from that prediction just yet. But in terms of serious challenges like Mountbelly, Moylock, Crossmaglen Rangers, and even Finbars as well, to be fair. Like, if Finbars can get over an Emo Rangers, I think, like with Stephen Sherlock, Ian McGuire, Brian Hayes, I think they'll be a serious team. But obviously, I'm sure when the draws come out and we know the teams inside and out, we might do a more in-depth predictions and maybe look at the games maybe in further detail. But yeah, cheers, Jack, for that comment. Anyways, definitely got us thinking and talking there. Suppose before we finish up, your club moment of the weekend.
It has to be the Downs. What a win for them in Westmeath, and the story of Luke Loughlin throughout 2022. An unbelievable achievement for that young man to get over what he's gone through and to win the Tailteann Cup and the Westmeath Championship. What an achievement! What an achievement for the whole of the Downs, and to beat St. Lomans in the final as well with no one saw coming. Brilliant achievement. And yeah, he's had one of the best stories of the year for an inter-county player, arguably.
Yeah, absolutely. To be honest, I was going to go with that one as well. To be honest, like when you see his story, when you see his rise, obviously from what he's gone through in the past year, like it is truly remarkable. Maybe to be a little bit different, I'd maybe look at Mark O'Connor sort of coming back and putting on a shirt for Dingle. Obviously scoring a point as well. Like, I think, very famous AFL star, as we very well know. So to see him back for Dingle was very, very nice. I do hope that he does go back to Australia and doesn't play for Kerry, because the last thing us Dubs need is him potentially back in their midfield, because that could be, that's a potential weakness for Kerry. And then all of a sudden he comes back and Jesus, they're, it's like putting a Brian Fenton possibly into a Kerry. Like, it's an absolute Rolls Royce of a player. So yeah, hopefully anyway he doesn't play again. But it was great to see him back in the fold for Dingle nonetheless. But yeah, Matthew, cheers very much for coming on. Make sure to check out the GAA Statsman podcast over on Instagram at GA_Statsman2. And obviously over on YouTube and on Spotify, all podcasts and apps as well. And if people could subscribe here on GA Fan TV, it'd be very much appreciated. And if you would hit the like button, I would very much appreciate it as well. So yeah, Matthew, cheers very much for coming on.
Pleasure as always, Aaron. Thanks very much.